My name is Bryce, and I'm a dreamer. Both waking and sleeping, my rich and vivid imagination has been keeping life interesting since I was very little. So I'm going to share those dreams with you, and I'd love for you to share your dreams with me. Let's do this together in a little place that I like to call Somewhere in Dreamworld. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Somewhere in Dreamworld, episode 14, the podcast about all things dreams, both waking and sleeping. My name is Bryce, your host. I am not a shrink, but I have seen Ant-Man, so that's neat. I just really like dreams. And today we have a special guest, two of them.
I hate that so much that I love it.
Please welcome Shea, Gyllen.
Hello.
And her special guest as well, Freya.
She's eating right now.
Freya is an infant. How old is Freya?
Freya is 7 months old.
All right. Thank you for coming, both of you. Before we get into the episode, this episode could have been brought to you by babies. All of the babies in the world got together and pooled their resources together and potentially could have sponsored this episode.
It's mainly milk, but we call that liquid gold. So, hey, normalize breastfeeding.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say on the topic.
I mean, you, as a dude, are part of normalizing breastfeeding.
Fair point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you don't necessarily have to say anything about it, but like not making it weird is a great way of normalizing it and like shutting up about it. Look at me not swearing. I almost did.
Nice. She knows the rules of the podcast. Well, anyway, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. In this episode, we're talking about walking and talking in your sleep, and we're going to do that in a little bit. But I want to know who Shea is.
Oh, boy. Isn't that an existential crisis of a question? I am a parent, which we have already learned. I improvise. I teach. I'm a doula.
I don't know what a doula is. Can you educate me?
Yes, I totally can. I support people giving birth. So traditionally in the room, when we think about birth, we think about like the doctor or midwife, nurses, the partner, if there's partner, and then sometimes family or friends are there depending on your choices.
Yeah.
But a doula is in the room helping the person giving birth and their partner and like helping them remember things like here are some comfort measures, here are some things you wanted in your birth, and like, so say I wanted to have a birth naturally, and then all of a sudden something came up where I'm like, now I'm thinking, or like a doctor's like, you might want to consider an epidural. A doula is a really good way, or like, so not necessarily talking to the doctor for you, but like kind of helping you remember where you wanted to make your choices.
Okay.
So like, this is and reminding you that it is your birth experience, and as the person giving birth to another person, like helping you find your own voice.
Sure.
And a lot of that is like preparatory work, and then a lot of that is like in the moment work.
Yeah. So where do you find, like, how do you, is this, are you working for a company? Are you out on a message board, or like, how are you finding?
So I just started doula-ing. I don't even know if it's a verb like that, but it is now.
Doula-ing. Doula-ing of the fates.
Yes. Yep.
Have a baby.
Yes. So I have a website that is not yet launched. So right now it's just word of mouth, but there's like Doula Match. There's like any birth center is going to have a number of resources for doulas. You can just Google doulas Twin Cities and find various doulas. And like every doula I've met, they're like, if I'm not your match, I will help you find the right match. Because what you want is someone in the room that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
For me, I was very much like, I don't think I want a doula because I am a kind of person that like when there are people in the room, I'm immediately going to start taking care of everyone and being like, I'm the hostess with the mostest. And I didn't want to have to take care of another person. And then I met my doula at a prenatal yoga class. And she mentioned she was a doula. And I was like, yes, you may be my doula. And the magic happened.
Yeah. And it all worked out well.
Oh, it was great.
Great.
But that's a different podcast.
That is a different podcast. So what do you say we get into this podcast?
Yeah.
All right. I think it's time to go to sleep. Before we get into the reason I brought you to the podcast, or the reason you asked to be a part of it, I don't even remember.
I don't either. I think I was like, hey, I have something for you.
Before we get into that, I want to read a relatable dream from a listener. This comes from Blake, all the way from California. Blake says, so I don't often remember my dreams. Instead, I wake up with the emotions, but none of the context. What I do remember is things I do/see while sleepwalking and half awake. A quick list of things I've done or seen while asleep. Ripped a framed poster off my wall and went outside and placed it carefully in a bush. Pulled the cord for my blinds until the blinds broke off the wall. I woke up with pieces scattered throughout my bed like a werewolf covered in chicken feathers. I frequently see people standing in my room. I used to commonly yell a variation of, "Who are you? What do you want?" But lately I've gotten used to them. Last time I said, "I don't care about you," and went back to sleep. I began fighting an ex-girlfriend in my sleep, woke up and saw a giant spider on her face and tried to shoo it off with an odd hand motion. Think jazz hands. Sat straight up and pointed at a wall and just said, "The eyes." When I was younger and got a fever, I would mutter 1 million and freak out about, I can't read this out without laughing, and freak out about the idea of large numbers. These resembled panic attacks.
I love Blake so much.
So thank you, Blake, for that. Just 1 million. I mean, large numbers are pretty terrifying.
Oh my god.
So Shea, have you had any walking or anything like that?
I have 100% done what I believe is the third item on that list, which is like be convinced that there is somebody in my room. Yeah. And I jump out of bed and I like yell at them, swear at them, sometimes try to fight them. I have punched walls. You have punched walls? Yep. Any damage to the wall? Nope, but I've had bruises. Mm-hmm. One time when I was babysitting my cousins, I was then just going to spend the night because it was easier. And my aunt came home and I was like running in the bed with my cousins sleeping next to me. Like, wait, just kicking your legs? No, I was up, like standing on the bed. Yeah, my mom has walked in on me Gregorian chanting. That's how she described it. She was like, I came home and I was really confused by the sounds coming out of your room. And so I went in and that's what was happening. That's fantastic. I'm a loud sleeper, as it turns out. That's a good description. So now, how long have you been talking? Has this been all your life? As far as I know, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when did it come to you to start recording? So like 2012 or 13. Okay. Yeah, somewhere around there. And I was just like, wouldn't it be cool if I could like listen to this thing that people say I do? And sometimes I will talk myself awake. Okay. And so then I was like, I have a phone that's smart now. I will find an app that's voice activated recording. And so I did that. So I had an app that I was using for a while that eventually like didn't suit my needs quite well enough, but I got some pretty great stuff off of that. And then recently, like 2 years ago, discovered the Sleep Talk app. And so it's basically the same thing where it's a voice activated recorder app. You leave it on all night. And as you talk, it picks it up. It also picks up things like your partner snoring, trucks driving by.
Sure.
And there are like levels of sensitivity that you can get. But if you turn it down too low, then I miss out on my really great, sounds of the wind. Because sometimes I just make wind sounds in my sleep.
That's fantastic. So it's just interesting to me because I know that the psychology of sleep, in the deepest state of REM, your body is unable to move. It's frozen. But then there's other sections. Cycles. Thank you.
Yeah.
Stages. That's the one. There's multiple stages in a cycle.
Right.
There it is. And I haven't done much research on the talking and walking in your sleep, but do you remember many of these dreams?
Often my dreams do not match what I'm saying.
Really?
Yeah. And I can't think of any really specific examples because I dream vividly and I remember my dreams vividly, but I don't remember any specific, like this dream plus this talking happened. But I do know that it's never made sense when I will go back and listen to the app.
Yeah.
My talking more resembles like what has gone on that day. Like I have one recording from when I was playing D&D and we'd had a big long session. So lots of storytelling, lots of fighting. And it was, there's a lot of language. I think I told someone to go and pee on their own dice in my sleep.
That's an insult if I've ever heard it.
Go piss on your dice.
Did you bring some of these recordings with you?
Oh boy, did I.
Do you mind if we share some?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's listen to the first one and have a little chat.
And then you look like a little elf, and then we're all elves together, and you're all like, shut up, I feel like a sad man out where.
I don't know what the end of that is.
Something about sad. Is it sad man or sand man?
I don't know, but what is out where?
Out where is, I don't, yeah. What a sad man out there?
Maybe there was a sad man out there because he wasn't a little elf. Oh, shut up.
Shut up. And then it just goes into demonic breathing for a little bit.
Oh, I have one where I am speaking not English, but it is very clearly a language. And I have no idea, but it is real dark sounding.
So do you have any ideas of what is going on in this?
So this one was almost exactly 2 years ago. And I don't know, I was teaching preschool. So it's probably something to do with whatever craft we did that day or a book we read or something related. I don't know, maybe I'd been hanging out with my niece and nephew and that one I don't have a specific memory of that, what was going on in my life, that it would be that. Because I did at one point direct a play with some elves in it with small children, and choreographed a snowball/leaf ball fight to the final countdown. It was amazing, but I don't know. Maybe I'd been talking about that program.
Sure.
The little after school program or something. But those elves, those notorious May elves. Maybe I had been rereading Harry Potter.
Oh. Is that something you've done multiple times?
Yes.
How many? Too many to count.
Yes. I back in college, I dealt with a lot of depression and anxiety, and the way that I was able to get my brain to chill out before I learned about things that help your brain chill out was listening to Jim Dale read me Harry Potter every night. So I have developed a habit, and I listen to Harry Potter as I fall asleep almost every night. Every once in a while, I'll switch it up and listen to like a different series, like his Dark Materials. But yeah, so a lot.
A lot.
I would say since getting married, my husband has also been subjected to this, and he's probably listened to the whole series at least 3 times. At least, but probably more.
Before we go on, what's the favorite book and what's the favorite movie?
I don't like any of the movies.
Oh.
Feel like they were made too hastily to jump on the train.
Okay.
I do like how they told the tale of the 3 brothers in the movie. And shout out to Rupert Grint. Favorite book, I think I like Half-Blood Prince the most.
What is it about that book?
I think I like the let's solve these clues, let's figure this out. We also get to see like the worst part of Harry when he just blindly follows these directions and does grievous harm to a fellow student. And it's hard when you have your hero do villainous things.
Yeah.
But I think also like recognizing that helps us deal with our own little villainous things that we do, or sometimes big villainous things that we do.
Yeah.
That we don't intend to do necessarily. Like Harry was doing something to Draco, but he didn't think he was going to almost kill him.
Right.
So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of dreams, let's listen to another one.
Oh boy, I can't wait. Oh yeah, this one. Yep.
So here's the thing. And you will get this. My recipe holding fans. My recipe, usually it's me and like the one person who we're not touching anything, so their stuff is over. But something broke, as you can tell the way we came in. Edda, hold it in your body. Please do not try and go to the bathroom. Your bathroom, friends, while we're talking about it, it's 4 in the bathroom. If you can. We're working on it. So, it's a good check-in reminder. And 2, if you're an observer and you're invited to the party, then just crisscross your legs and wait patiently for your turn. I love you guys. That's all I gotta say about that. Mic drop. I'm out.
What's even greater is that like sometimes people just talk and they kind of trail off. You had a conclusion.
I'm out.
Mic drop, I'm out. Which, by the way, please don't drop your microphones. Take care of your equipment. But
notes from the tech. Oh boy. So actually I think a lot of what I brought in was like around 2 years ago.
Is Edda a real person?
Yes.
Okay.
And so there's like 2 things going on in my life that show up in this. One, I had started developing a cookbook that I still haven't finished for various reasons. So that's the whole recipe bit. And then something interrupted my brain and I started digging into my job at the time, which was teaching preschool, Edda being one of the kids I was teaching at that time. And like when we would do bathroom time, it was a fairly small bathroom. And so like one of the teachers would stay in the room and to stay in ratio, we would like send, and it was like a little hallway. So like you could stand in the doorway and see the bathroom and send the kids out and watch them till they got into the room. And so like we had a rule of 4 kids in the bathroom and it was just, yep. But it's so indicative of my teaching style, both like at a preschool level and any higher level where I'm like, cool, let's remind you of like what our goal is here. We're not going to stress about it. Like, remember it's only 4 in the bathroom and we're going to cross our legs if you're at this party. And just for me and for teaching, so many people spend their time being angry at youth, particularly as they get older, that and again, like with younger kids, especially when you have a huge, like not a huge classroom because numbers and everything, but like when you have a classroom full of like 2 and 3 year olds, it's real stressful. And so like my whole approach to teaching is like, yes, we're going to acknowledge and take in that we're working on a lot of skills and it's stressful. But if we're all like, we're at the party together, like I might be a hippie in some ways, but it's very just, that's how I teach. That's how I work with youths, is like accept and intake all of the information and then like gently remind and like stay chill with how we should be doing things.
That sounds fantastic. I mean, it sounds like you do a good job with it. I feel like I would appreciate it.
I do my best.
Let's take another. Let's do another one.
Yeah. Yep. This is a great follow up.
HSA, FSA, you know, all the essays. That's what got you here. Essays, downtown building, top floor, door with your name on it. Are you even listening to me? I'm pontificating. But it's about you, and it's like, because we're hanging out, then it's nice that if you... It was just nice to have some input as we plan your grand entrance, now that you're, you know, a celebrated preschool teacher.
Was that a southern accent? Top floor.
I just really like that a section of this sounds like I'm delivering a monologue.
It starts, I can just picture somebody on like a balcony or something.
Yeah. Like big sheet glass windows.
Just planning the grand entrance.
Pontificating. Oh my God. I have a large vocabulary. Let me show it to you while I sleep. And this one isn't much later than the last one we listened to. So I'm still teaching preschool at the time, but I'm also starting to look for high school teaching jobs, which I also wonder if that coincided with the first time that I did Off Book, which is an improvised show, that one person has memorized half of a scene and the other person is improvising the whole other half. And so I'm wondering, no, because that would have rung more bells. Anyway, it still sounds like a script to me. But clearly there's still the influence of teaching preschool because I'm talking about it. Yeah. The snoring was courtesy of my delightful husband, Jeff. Sorry. Not sorry. Sometimes he actually will talk back to me in his sleep, and other times he will talk back to me just lean into it and like wake up during it. Like there's one where I'm just like, what? And he's like, what? And like his first few whats, he is asleep, but then eventually he starts like responding, oh, the baby is no longer asleep. Freya fell asleep right when Bryce asked us all to fall asleep. Oh, and now we're
but it's not time to wake up yet.
Oh, yeah, it's not quite time.
How about one more?
Cool. This one, speaking of monologues, is coincided with when I was in a show where I needed to learn an accent.
Oh, three of the different kinds of mookins. There's the time. There's the kind of they were all humans though. Same with all the stuff we've been giving the humans here. You can figure it out. I'm not concerned.
You have a lot more accents in your sleep talk than I feel like most people. I don't know if that's true or not. But I feel like there's like this, I'm groggy and tired, and this is just my regular voice. But you're full on practicing monologues.
I am like And like, this is how, when I'm learning an accent for a show, it's not just me learning my lines in an accent. It is me just mumbling and talking through things. Like I'll walk around my house trying to do it. And I also don't hold accents very long. It's like I learned Scottish for this show. You can be the judge of whether that was any good or not. But now, like, if you were like, hey, do your accent from the show, I'd be like, yeah, and I couldn't do it, is what I'm trying to say. So, like, I have to heavily practice. And it's like watching shows, it's listening to podcasts, and then just walking around, mostly making the little in-between sounds of words, because that is where I feel like the gold of an accent is like the versus the is like real big for me.
Absolutely. So anything that you've taken away from recording your dreams?
Just that I would love to have like time to go and do like a sleep study with someone studying sleep talking. I have no idea how to like get in touch with people and be like, here are my demo tapes of my sleep talk. I swear they're real. I think I remember there was a dude back in like the 60s who recorded like an absurdly long amount of time of one cohesive thought. And I think it was like 30 seconds or 60 seconds or 90 seconds. And I have longer. I'm pretty sure I have some longer strings than that, where it is like there's a through line. And so I'm kind of like, who do I talk to?
So Guinness, if you're listening, world record holder.
Oh, I don't care about world records. I want someone to study it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, here, I have this thing. You can study it. I did bring you a little present.
Oh.
It's one little tiny short sleep talk.
Okay.
It's your favorite Robert Gyllen.
Oh.
Gets a name drop.
Okay. Let's listen to this last one.
The real. Oh, I see. You're invoking the powers of Logan time.
Logan time.
Logan!
Oh,
Puppy
for
doodle.
those of you who don't know, Logan is the goodest boy.
He is definitely the goodest boy. BFF to Freya, cuddler supreme, and the powers of Logan time. They are the healing, soulful, deep eyes of this just amazing puppy dog. Oh, that was a good snore.
Well, unfortunately, even though Freya is asleep, it's time for us to wake up. Shea, do you have anything going on, anything coming up that we might be able to see you as a part of?
Yeah, you can. On Sundays, the 2nd, 9th, and 16th of June, I'll be at Improv-A-Go-Go with a group called Invisibi. I will.
That's at Huge Theater.
At Huge Theater. Thank you for having my back. Also at Huge Theater on Wednesdays in June and July. The Painters are making a comeback.
Nice.
Oh, buddy. I'm excited about our new stuff that's happening. And then I am in a stage combat show called Human Combat Chess.
Ooh.
I would love to tell you about it, but it would take too much time. So go look it up on the internets. And that is Fridays and Saturdays, in June. At Christ Church Lutheran in Minneapolis.
Nice.
It's a really cool show. It's insane.
I like both stage combat and chess, so I will have to check that out.
Yep.
But in the meantime, that is the whole episode. That's all the time we got.
We could talk so much longer. I have so many more recordings.
Maybe we'll have to do another episode on that. For those of you listening, thank you so much for listening. You can submit your own dreams by sending them via email to podcast@midnightnotion.com or phone them in at 612-643-0944. Shea and Freya, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks so much for having us.
And for the rest of you, go to sleep, have a great one, and remember to sleep well, dream well, and be well.